残酷な天使のように少年よ神話になれ青い風が今胸のドアを叩く
Thank you for joining us on The Franchisees. We are doing part 1 of the epic 10-part anime series, Saw.
It's going to be kawaii.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be kawaii. I'm glad you said that. Yeah. This is of course, the first anime we've done.
Yeah.
But
not the last.
But not the last, definitely not. And we're really excited that we were able to fit it in, seeing as how it's only 10 parts instead of like 26
6,000.
or like 300, 6,000. Yeah. So, and we have a very special guest as well, who I'll introduce now, Saw style. Catherine, I want to play a game. All your life you've been listening to the Franchisees podcast. Now you will be a guest on one. It's Katherine. Or can we say your last name too?
Yeah.
It's Katherine Vienneau.
Yeah, that's close enough.
That was pretty close.
Vienneau?
Vienneau?
Vienna. It's like
that?
I would say like the way to pronounce it is like V the letter and then N the letter and then O.
Okay.
It's pretty easy.
I realized I never said your last name before. That's funny. Anyway.
Well,
listeners, listeners can't
Yeah.
see it, but I have a bunch of saws strapped to my rib cage, and if I say anything bad on the podcast, it rips out my rib cage. So here's hoping that everything goes okay today, and I walk out of here alive.
Yeah, of course. Alex, you also have a saw trap that you're stuck in. Would you like to describe it?
Yeah, I have a cage of hungry, disease-infested rats kind of just dangling precariously over my genitals.
Oh, no.
That's terrible.
And if at any moment I say like or they're oh shit.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they're gonna tear my penis apart.
Oh, wow, that's awful. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to hear that.
And burrow into me from the cavity.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well,
pretty gnarly.
I am suspended upside down.
True, yeah.
And
We
I'm
can all see that.
I'm slowly being lowered into a vat of not acid. That's kind of too like the 60s Batman.
Yeah.
I'm being lowered into a vat of the gel that the Saw 2005 Saw DVD, the 2-disc DVD, it came in a actually have.
This is going
one
to take
right
some
here.
explaining.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a clear jewel case like you'd have for a CD, but it's DVD sized. And the front cover is like in a gel. There's a saw suspended in the gel. See, you can hear it. You can hear it when I shake it.
Yeah, that's one wet DVD.
Yeah, so I'm being lowered into a vat of this 2005 era gel, which I don't think is going to kill me, but it will probably sting, which I'm not looking forward to.
But I've heard it gets better with age at the very least.
Yeah,
it's like a fine wine.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and I'm being punished for watching too many movies.
Yeah.
That's like a Saw-style punishment.
Well, there's a part in the movie where, not to jump ahead, where Adam, he is playing the tape, and Jigsaw's like, you've spent your lives living in the shadow of others, watching them. And I was like, oh my god, he's talking about me.
Yeah. He's like, you're a voyeur.
Yeah, and I'm
you
like
to
oh,
take pictures.
No.
This guy could really, take issue with anything. Like he finds the smallest reasons to kind of put people on trial for their lives. He's a bit of a stickler, this fella.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's there's something wrong with them, I think that the Jigsaw Killer is like kind of not a great guy.
Yeah.
And I know maybe
Old
that
white
changes
man.
over right? Exactly. And I imagine that changes a little bit over as the series goes on. Like maybe he becomes more of a protagonist than an antagonist. I don't really know.
See, not to spoil anything, but I feel like, as the series goes on, his philosophy makes less and less sense.
Right.
And people will say, oh, it's stupid, but I think it's intentional. They're like... Yeah, they're like, oh no, like this whole idea is stupid of like trying to make people live their lives and care about life, I guess. I think they're intentionally trying to make his motivations less and less understandable to make you be like, oh yeah, this whole thing is stupid.
Oh,
like,
okay, good. Yeah. Like, he is a psycho.
Like, I think even in this one, like, Dr. Gordon doesn't cheat on his wife. And he's like, you still gotta go in the trap.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, there's tons of things like that. Like, this movie is a gallery of just giant gaping plot holes. And, you know, like we said, I don't care that much about plot holes or cinema sins, but
This is going to be the Cinema Sin series.
The ones in this one are just massive. And there's so many moments that I think are undercut by just you think about it for 2 seconds and you're like, wait, what? Why? And it kind of takes, that's like, we'll get into it. But anyway, yeah. But I've seen more of these as well. And I am kind of looking forward to the less sense that they do make. I think the less sense it makes, the more fun it is. The more you can just kind of go along with it.
It almost becomes transcendent how stupid they become.
Yeah.
Like, it gets to a point where you're just like, oh, there's like a whole other thing here for me to watch, and it's just the craziest, goriest shit you've ever seen. And then just so much lore for no reason. Like,
similar to, if you will, Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Absolutely. Very similar to Evangelion.
It may appear at the beginning to be a simple mech fighting monsters or whatever, but it's so much more, underneath.
I've never watched it. I do want to check it out.
You have to now.
Yeah.
We're going to do it on the pod.
I've just been rewatching it because my partner had never seen it before. And
Shout out Kai.
So Kai had never seen it, and we were like, oh, I need to show you this. I have an Evangelion tattoo. You need to see this.
Oh, yeah, right.
And it took us 2 years to watch the whole thing, because once you get to the back half, every episode is like the most gut-wrenching thing you've ever seen in your entire life.
Yeah.
But this week we finished the last 4 episodes and watched End of Evangelion. It's so good.
That's
it's the
amazing.
best.
I saw you were comparing it on Twitter to like the end of Twin Peaks season 3, right? And when I completely agree. And even when I was watching that on Showtime, shout out free Showtime trial that everybody used to watch Twin Peaks. And then when it elapsed halfway through the season, you had to get a friend to do a free Showtime trial, and you just carried on the daisy chain, right? But I was watching it with Sagan Yi. Shout out. I don't think they listen, but shout out anyway. But afterwards, after the very end, the very last episode, I remember Sagan being like, "Oh, could we watch the last episode of Evangelion?"
Yo,
and it's a perfect thing. It's very similar, like except instead of it being like congratulations, it's like
it's all over.
Yeah. Anyway, did you ever watch season 3 of Twin Peaks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I own it.
It's kind of like Neon Genesis. Anyway.
I can't picture that at all.
No, it's the same. It's the same show.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Cooper's in it, but he's Shinji Ikari.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Dougie Jones type scenario.
It is. He's like Dougie Jones.
I'll get around to it.
I will. You know what we should do? Because I have seen it all the way through twice, I think, and I'd like to do it. I just want to keep doing it, and so
it's the best.
Maybe what if we did it all in one sitting, like over several days, like some sort of binge, drug fueled binge even.
And then we capped it off with Satan Tango.
Yeah, cool. We are going to do that this winter.
Okay.
I'm calling it this winter. We're going to do Long Movie Club. We're going to do Satan Tango. We're going to do Showa. We're going to do what's another fun movie? Yeah, Out One. Out One is like
that one's probably more fun than any of the other ones. It's
like 13
hours long, but it's probably the most fun to watch.
Yeah, it is probably more fun. Yeah. Anyway, listener, you're not invited because I don't know you. If I do know you and you want to be invited, email us at thefranchiseespod@gmail.com. And please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple and Spotify and or your podcatcher of your choice.
Podcatcher, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
We need it.
Yeah, we
do. Could have hemorrhaging viewers or listeners, I guess.
Every episode we do, we lose 10 listeners and also a pint of blood.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
In a saw-like trap.
Yeah, pretty much.
The more listeners you alienate.
Yeah. Game over.
Pod over.
Pod over. Yeah, the very last episode of the pod, we'll say pod over, and then we'll slit each other's throats.
Yeah, and we will be old men, old diseased
That's
men,
the plan.
like Tobin Bell.
Yeah.
At the end of this.
Lifetime commitment. L. Ron Hubbard. Yeah. Thousands of years. Yeah. Yeah.
Battlefield Earth.
Yeah.
Huge.
Ooh, they never made a sequel to that, right?
No, but you could do like that and The Master.
I was
going
gonna
to
say.
it's a series.
Yeah. That one, The Master,
That's not a bad
and
idea.
and then maybe the Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yeah,
That's
good.
funny.
Feels like the most Scientology-esque
Yeah,
one, almost.
I don't even
right?
know why. Maybe actually the one where he climbs the Burj Khalifa.
Yeah.
That feels kind of
really good.
Scientology.
That movie didn't do as great as people were hoping it would, did it?
I think it did well. It just like not in comparison to like not what they were hoping. You're right.
Yeah,
And,
because Oppenheimer and Barbie came out the next weekend.
Yeah.
So
it was a bad release date. They shouldn't have put it then.
I still
right?
haven't seen Barbie. Confession.
Wow.
Well, it's because a bunch of people I know, like you, were telling me it's all right.
Yeah,
I don't-
but you still got to see it.
I'll see it eventually.
it's coming out on VOD in like a week, so you can
Yeah.
get it from legalmoviedownloads.com pretty soon.
Yeah,
Alright, great.
the official
Sponsor.
download sponsor of this episode. Yeah. Also, what brand is this? Yeah, Cuisinart. Cuisinart steak knives are sponsoring the Saw series. We're going to use one of these fine instruments to cut into the gel packaging of the Saw DVD
Yeah.
at the end of the episode,
And drink it.
and we're gonna drink it and see if we go blind. Yay! That's fun,
So
right?
stay tuned. Big ending to this one.
Yeah, you don't want to miss it.
So right off the bat, new franchise.
Mm-hmm.
What does it smell like to you? What does this
Ooh,
franchise
the new
smell
franchise
like to you?
smell. Yeah. What do you think?
Well, I am smelling that toilet that
That's what
Lee
I was gonna say.
sifts through to. I forget why he gets like some clue, like look in the toilet. And then
The
it's
reason
just filled
why
with
is
shit.
because it's a reference to Trainspotting. That's what
Yeah.
they said.
Is
Yeah.
it true?
I think Lee said it.
Oh.
Whatever. Who knows? Maybe he just made that up.
But then it's not even in the toilet bowl.
No,
what he's
that's,
looking
it's
for.
not. Yeah.
It's in
okay.
the- yeah.
It smells like the dirty toilet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that room in general.
Yeah.
To me, it smells like the dried blood on the floor. Who we later learn is Jigsaw himself. So I guess it's not real blood.
But it's also poisonous.
But it's not really poisonous.
But it's not really
because it's
poisonous?
fake, right?
But then why would he try to get him to see? This is what I mean. There's so many moments where you're like, but why? But then why would he be like poison him with the blood?
It's
Because
because he
it's-
can see every turn. He
Yeah.
sees every move they
It's
make.
a freaking game, isn't it? It's a game.
Yeah. No, listen. Yeah. He is omnipotent. I know that.
Catherine, what do you think it smells like?
I think it smells like a hospital.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we always think about the torture chambers when it comes to Saw, but as you'll see going forward in the series, there's a lot of hospitals in this.
Excellent. Yeah, because I have heard there are several films where Jigsaw is just lying on a hospital gurney for like.
I think
most
there's
of
at
it, right?
least 2 films where he's just lying on a
Ooh,
bed.
scary. Yeah, I thought it was funny, like his, and it's okay, we're jumping all over. People have probably seen this, right? And if
It's
you
a-
haven't, like,
it's a classic,
It's a classic,
like-
yeah.
Yeah.
One of the the guy who we're led to believe is the Jigsaw killer is actually Zepp, the hospital like orderly, right?
Yeah.
And they don't really get into why he was like, he seemed like he was actually cared about John Jigsaw, but I guess his crime, his transgression was being a hospital orderly.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
I think, yeah, we are jumping all over. Everyone's familiar with, they become iconic. And to its credit, like, I think it's cool that it did become, we saw a new horror villain kind of enter the pantheon in the early 2000s. When did this movie come out exactly?
2004.
2004.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, like, out of a bunch of movies at that time, like Jigsaw, the character personified by that puppet, I guess, has kind of like, been solidified in the realm of horror gods and icons, for better or for worse. But that's kind of cool to see.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think it's like it was a really original idea at the time too. Like the kind of, I wrote in my notes, I was like, oh, this is like a proto escape room type
Yeah,
movie.
definitely.
Like, it's just like them trying to find all these clues in order to get out. But it feels like before that, there's like Cube, which is pretty similar to this, CanCon. So
Seven also has some lineage to this.
Seven, for sure.
Seven, in both in terms of plot and definitely in terms of like aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
Like
grimy.
I think, and the reason that this film has like two colors in it, like blue and then green, right, is fully a Seven thing, I think. Yeah. And I mean also just like digital coloring around that time too. Like a lot of movies look that way.
Yeah. Although I think, I don't even know if this was digitally colored.
Oh, maybe not.
Because it might have been too early.
Yeah, I guess 2004 is pretty early.
Like Oh Brother Where Art Thou was like the first big digitally colored movie, and that was like maybe a couple years before this. Mm-hmm. I should have done research.
No. We should have done research.
That's like the tagline of the show.
Yeah. This isn't nobody cares about the movie we're talking about. You know? It's all the goofs and eventually the discussion and rating of which saw trap from the film you would like to be in. Which one do you think you have the best choice? But we'll save that for near the end.
What year did Hostel come out?
Hostel is a year after this.
Yeah, Hostel
2005.
2005.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is 6 months after the Abu Ghraib torture photos.
Yes. Yes.
And, there was no way they could have imagined, like, the short film was made before that. But just, like, very strange to have this premiere at Sundance, like, when it's so, the torture idea is so part of the zeitgeist. And, like, it kind of brings in this wave of, like, Americans trying to reckon with their own countries, like, transgressions in the Middle East through these kinds of like disgusting horror movies like Saw or the Hostel films, or I'm trying to think of another one. I feel like there was at least one more big series.
The Texas Chainsaw remakes were happening around then as well, which I think focused a little bit more on that grimy kind of torture porny sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it's interesting hearing James Wan, the director co-writer, and Lee Winnell, the co-writer actor, talking about it in retrospect about like torture porn and the torture porn label, because obviously they didn't that didn't exist, but I mean this created that sort of thing, this and Hostel, and hearing them talk about it and how they're sort of uncomfortable with it, but also sort of like grateful that they got to kind of start this movement, for better or worse, whatever it ends up meaning. But yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, I wasn't able to find anything about them talking about specifically like what was going on in the zeitgeist around that time in regards to like Abu Ghraib or the war in Iraq or Afghanistan. So, but like it's just something in the air, right?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
just something that people are thinking about, and I don't know.
And then torture porn itself as a genre kind of kicked off a whole other kind of zeitgeisty, discussion around censorship and what was like tasteful and not. It was an interesting time.
Yeah, I think Hostel is a lot more like aware of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, maybe that's just being later, or maybe it's also that, Eli Roth is some sort of genius. I don't know. maybe
I love the Hostel movies.
I love the first two Hostel films as well.
Yeah, I've only seen the first one, but the
second one is so much better.
It's really interesting how they like flip some things around in the second one. But
we're gonna have to do that next.
I love those two movies.
Yeah.
But what are you guys' like memories and relationships around these films and like around that time? Because I don't actually think I saw them in 2004 and 2005. Saw.
Right? That's the word of the day.
Saw, he said it. Now we have to stick needles in our fingernails. But I saw it a few years later, I think when I was in like maybe early university. When I would come home, I would babysit a family friend's cats, and they had Rogers on Demand. And I remember watching Saw and Hostel during a period of babysitting these people's cats. And Hostel just resonated with me way more. I think because it's kind of more straightforward and to the point, and it's about torture, and it is this very terrifying idea that...
It's funnier, too.
It is. And there are parts of the world that hate North Americans, specifically Americans, but where people would pay money to like torture you to death, and like you're the going rate and stuff, and like that was like prophetic in its own way too, with the dark web shenanigans and all that grisly stuff. But Hostel always just I liked it more, and I appreciated it more. Whereas Saw, I think I liked it in retrospect after seeing more of them and seeing where the franchise goes and when it kind of goes off the rails. But I was never a big Saw head.
Okay. Catherine, what about you?
So, I mean, when this movie came out, I was like 6 years old or something. So
Yeah,
I
that's
definitely did not see it when it came out.
Catherine is the age that we joke about being on the show.
And I'm not even that young.
No, not particularly.
But I remember a few memories. When I was in middle school, a friend of mine would watch a bunch of horror movies, and I was like way too scared to watch horror movies, and would just recite the plots of horror movies to like the entire class. Basically, would just be like, "So this is what happens in Final Destination 2."
Oh, yeah. I knew a kid like that too.
Right?
Yeah. He was describing Lake Placid, and he made it sound like the scariest movie ever. And then when I watched it, I was like, "Oh, it's a comedy." Yeah.
So he definitely he described like all of the Saw traps to me in like all of the movies.
Oh, amazing.
And then I watched this movie when I was in high school, but only the first one. And I was like, oh, this is like pretty effective. It's not as gross as I expected it to be, especially because like it just gets grosser later. This one's like pretty restrained in a lot of ways. And then last October, I basically went into a fugue state and was like, I need to watch every single Saw movie. And I watched the entire series in like 3 days. And I was really happy to get out of it at the end because it was just like, you know, a little too much to have that on the brain, like 3 movies a day.
3 days of Saw?
But I found myself really appreciating a lot of the films. My friend, shout out MJ, really loves these movies and got me into them. So then I was like
MJ?
Not MJ. Shout out that MJ, but this is a different MJ.
Yeah.
But shout out this MJ too. Both MJs.
Shout out every MJ in the world.
Yeah, of course. It's a great name.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan, yeah. And no other Michaels. That's the only one. Well, yeah, I did see it when it came out. Not in the theater. Obviously not old enough. I was probably like 14 or 15.
Yeah.
By the time it came out on DVD, so I would have been, I still 14 or maybe newly 15.
Was it like a high school, like you and your high school friends were like, let's watch Saw, it's fucked up?
No, Hostel was like that.
Okay.
But I didn't actually see it until way later. I saw, a friend showed me like clips of it, like the torture parts, and in his basement, in his parents' basement, which was, the perfect setting.
You were glued to a chair?
Yeah, I was glued.
Like, open your eyes.
Yeah, in the Clockwork Orange thing. Yeah. He also had a stack of DVDs, like a specific stack that was like, when you saw them, you're like, oh, he's jerking off to that. Because it was like Eyes Wide Shut. It was a couple other movies with like noteworthy nudity
Fast
in them.
Times at Ridgemont High.
Wild Things?
They were all like around like 90s, 2000s.
Wild Things?
Something like, it was like that, right?
Down?
No, I wish.
We're just going to name every movie with nudity
Smutty
in
film.
it.
Yeah. It was like obvious ones that he was like fast forwarding just to the naked parts. And then one that, as far as I know, doesn't have any nudity, but he had a crush on Emmy Rossum. So it was the Phantom of the Opera. And I was like, why is this in his jerk off stack? You know? Like, he's like, it's the music of the night, and he's like, yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to mention who that was. I guess actually, maybe not, just in case, just a friend. So no, Saw. I remember. I think maybe I borrowed the DVD from somebody because, like, at Blockbuster you couldn't rent. There was this dreaded like youth restricted sticker on like DVDs, and I every now and again I'll find a DVD at Valley Village that still has the sticker on it, and that sticker was like Blockbuster's way of being like, I don't know if it was like, it's like an NC-17. It's like you can't, even if you are whatever proper age, like you can't rent it or whatever. I don't know. And I probably borrowed it from somebody, possibly this guy. And I watched it on a mini DVD player, like in my bedroom, probably
huge.
during the day, like maybe in the morning. Because sometimes like I remember being like scared and thinking like, what if this fucks me up forever? Like, what if watching this is like going to damage me?
Yeah.
This same friend I borrowed Clockwork Orange from, and my mom had told me how like she didn't like that movie because it was disgusting, and so I had to see it. and I remember the same feeling, like, what if watching this does like irreparable damage to me? Which is very funny now. Like, I'll watch anything, like literally anything, and it washes over me like nothing because I'm so detached from and desensitized.
Cold, empty eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Which helps me in the hotel industry. So yeah, I remember being really freaked out, and I was grossed out by it. Made me feel very tense. Yeah, and like I kind of wish I could recapture that feeling a little bit watching like modern day horror movies. Sometimes I'm able to when I go to the theater. Yeah, because there is that kind of like you're trapped here kind of thing. Yeah.
Especially stoned.
Yeah, I don't do that shit anymore, man. Those days are behind me. I don't get high and go see whatever Saw 10.
Terrifier 2.
Terrifier 2. Oh yeah, that actually those movies are too funny to like be
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. There's parts of those movies though,
yeah. Terrifier 2 in theaters was pretty cool, actually. Yeah.
I got high and saw Smile and had a few good laughs. That's funny. Put a smile on my face.
Yeah. I took my cousins to see Smile. Oh, yes. Yeah. Shout out Stefan and Sam. And I caught them closing their eyes, like holding their hands over their eyes. And at one point, because no one else was in the theater, I took up my film camera and took a picture of them. Like, but and I wanted to post it because I thought it was funny. But when you look at the photo, it doesn't look like they're scared, like in covering their eyes. It looks like their 30-something 30-something nephew took out his camera and is embarrassing them. You know, they're like, it looks like they're shielding themselves from, anyway, whatever. Shout out those guys. Stefan actually messaged me last night and was like, "Hey, have you seen Beau's Afraid? Is it any good?"
Oh,
and Catherine, you and I saw Beau's Afraid.
We saw that together
in the movie theater.
We have very different.
I didn't really
ideas of it.
Yeah, I didn't really like it, but then seeing people talk about it as if it's like an extended Family Guy episode kind of puts it into perspective, you know. Maybe that was Ethan.
Well, it's just it's a bunch of Family Guy episodes.
Yeah,
it's
really
like you're binging Family Guy.
So actually, you know, maybe it is good. Okay, Saw. I talked about James Wan, right? He wrote it with Lee Winnell. There are a couple of Australian lads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lee Winnell?
One more time.
Lee Winnell?
Yeah, that is probably what it sounds like in Australia, right? Lee, if you're listening and you want to correct us, email us.
They both went on. There was a while where they kind of got pigeonholed in this kind of like grindhousey horror thing. Yeah. And they did it, and they did really well at it. But then they both kind of branched out into some really interesting directions. Like James directed the Aquaman film.
Yeah. I never saw it, actually. I should, though, right?
I heard it was fun.
Yeah?
I think I might have watched it. I don't know. That's a bad sign.
Yeah.
I started The Flash the other night.
Oh.
I stopped after 20 minutes.
It's so funny, isn't it? Isn't it just bizarre?
Maybe I'll finish it.
See, the trick to enjoying it is to see it in Screen X. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
that's what I was missing.
Yeah.
Was being surrounded.
Only 20 minutes of the movie or so. The side screens show I don't know, lightning or something.
I'm just gonna watch it on my TV with 2 strobe lights beside me.
Yeah. You know that thing where it's like those videos or whatever, it's like get high, like without doing drugs.
Yeah.
You put like ping pong balls in your eyes and flashlights at them. Yeah, that's like watching The Flash.
Yeah, okay. So pretty good time. Is what you're saying.
Oh, for sure.
But Lee went on. He did that movie Upgrade from a couple of years ago.
I remember enjoying that.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
And he did the Invisible Man remake.
Still haven't seen it.
It's not bad. Yeah,
there you go.
It's not bad. It's no Hollow Man.
Oh, so good.
But I mean, it's pretty much the same type of idea as Hollow Man.
Yeah, but they don't do like a really detailed CGI penis render in this movie?
No. They didn't do a full body scan, a fully anatomically correct Kevin Bacon body scan as they did in Hollow Man that was so detailed and medically accurate that it is used like in universities, like medical teaching labs, like still to this day. I don't know if that's 100% true, but I'm pretty sure it is.
I don't know. Verhoeven's influence, he just extends everywhere.
Yeah. He's one of the foremost scholars on the life of Jesus Christ.
Is that true?
I wouldn't say foremost, but
He's up there.
He's up there. He wrote a book on it. Yeah, which I have but have not read, but I will one day. About like the historical Jesus.
Yes.
And then James Wan, of course. I haven't seen a lot of his other, like Dead Silence. You ever see that?
Watched. In prep for this a few months ago, I watched Dead Silence and Death Sentence.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Which are like the two between big Wan franchises.
Yeah.
Dead Silence I found very boring. It's like a killer doll movie.
Like a ventriloquist dummy?
Exactly.
Was that what spawned off the Brahms the Boy? Was Brahms the spawn?
I think it's
from
separate,
that,
right?
I think it's separate, but I'm not 100% sure.
Although, as we've discussed before, Brahms 2 The Boy is one of the best movie titles ever. Yeah.
I thought some of the franchises they did like caused a series of
Annabelle
spin-offs.
is from The Conjuring.
That's probably what I'm thinking
Yeah.
of.
How many Conjuring verse movies are there?
There's Annabelle. There's The Nun.
Okay.
I feel like there's at least one more Conjuring verse movie that isn't the Conjuring movies.
Right.
God.
But then Insidious is just a straight shot through. They're
Right.
just like only Insidious.
Right. And Juan did the first 2, and then Winnell did the third one, I think.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I actually haven't seen any Insidious movies.
I saw the first one.
I've only seen the first one, and I watched it in high school, and I was like, it's stupid when they go to the ghost dimension.
They actually we gotta watch that. Okay, we gotta go now. Yeah.
From what I remember, everything's just red.
Yeah, I remember it being like out of focus, black and white, but I can't remember that well. It's been a while.
All right. Interesting. Well, I'm very sold now.
Yeah. Anything with a ghost dimension.
And then Juan did 2 movies that I do like quite a bit. Furious 7.
Yeah,
which
I
I
love
think
that one.
was the first. I had heard it was good, and when it was in theaters, who went? Oh, I think a friend of the pod, future guest Yuki went with me. We went to see Furious 7.
That's a Fast and Furious movie.
It's a Fast and Furious movie,
Wow.
and it was the point in time where I was like, okay, I'm gonna now appreciate these movies.
Yeah.
Like many people who are watching them realize, like, okay, after 5, right?
5 is the big turning point for the
Yeah,
series where it gets quote unquote good.
Yeah, big quotes there. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say all of the even ones are bad, and all of the odd ones are good.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So if you're looking for a Fast and Furious recommendation, just skip all the even ones.
Well, yeah, I remember really liking 7. And finding it emotional because that's the one where Paul Walker had died, and so they CGI'd him, and he drove off into heaven.
It's been a long
Wiz
time.
Khalifa plays,
yeah. Goodbye. I'm going to heaven now.
But he's mentioned in all the other ones. He's still alive within the universe of the story.
Yeah, but he won't come to like the family cookout anymore. He's just like,
That's kind of messed up.
It is kind of messed
Absolutely,
up.
bad friend.
He's busy. He's got a family in heaven.
Bad confession, and we will rectify this on the pod, but I've only seen the first one.
Oh, wow.
And
But I mean, we had the option to do them. We thought about maybe doing them this year, but we didn't want to.
I put it off.
We put it off. That's okay. They're gonna keep making them, and we'll keep drinking that garbage, as they say.
Well, Fast X
Yeah.
ends on a cliffhanger, so they have to keep making them.
Perfect.
There you go.
And then lastly, but certainly not least, James Wan made the magnificent *Malignant*.
Oh yeah,
which is a lot of fun.
I
you
still
see
haven't
that?
seen that one.
Oh, I think you'll like it.
But I know the ending.
Oh, okay. Well, part of the joy of it was being like, because the first like half of that movie is you're like, okay, like feel like I've seen this before, and then whoosh,
it is. It's funny.
It's very funny.
It's funny.
I'm the backwards man.
Yeah,
man.
the best meme I ever saw was comparing Malignant to that scene from Freddy Got Fingered, and it gave me like a whole new appreciation for Malignant.
That's very funny.
See, I always assumed it was like a Harry Potter 1 type of thing.
Oh, like what do you mean?
Yeah, at the end of Harry Potter 1 where Voldemort's on the back of the guy's head.
Face on the back of.
Right.
That guy who plays Quirrell in that movie played John Lennon in a really good movie about John Lennon being gay on vacation that I can't remember what it's called. Yeah.
Well, you have to remember
that.
Yeah,
okay. Give me 1 second.
Okay, yeah. John Lennon, gay vacation. Speaking of people who are in things, I just found out that the actress who plays the nun, the titular nun in The Nun, is the same actress who plays the vagrant behind the the diner at
Really?
Winky's. Yeah, apparently.
Oh my god.
Without looking
No
into
way.
it, apparently that's true. Yeah, because there was something where like she didn't get paid properly for her performance in The Nun. Like there was some deal about like merchandising or something.
Yeah.
To what extent they would use her image in the merchandising and like
Well, I
anyway,
mean, she's the nun. They
she's
got to
the
use
nun.
it in everything.
typical Hollywood crooks.
Yeah.
The strike rages on. We have not crossed picket lines to act in any Hollywood productions.
No.
Catherine, no?
No, not yet.
I'm
And
so hungry though.
the
I
other-
need,
yeah.
I need the metro strike to end.
Another strike closer to home has impacted Alex. He's gaunt. He's lost probably 15 pounds. He's not able to go to his grocery store Metro because the evil people who run Metro, I don't know, won't pay their workers a fair
Short
wage.
change.
Yeah.
I do hope they get paid decently. Like that's bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
you're
I am
also
really hungry. I'm hungry. I signed up for HelloFresh. I'll let you know
That's
how
the
that
move
goes.
of a desperate man.
I hate having to pay $6,000 for a frozen pizza at Shoppers. They got to
Yes.
open that Metro back
Yes.
up.
Yes. they
Okay.
do.
The key is you have to find the one shopper. Well, this is the shoppers you're talking about here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, yeah. But every now and again, if you find a shoppers, when things go on sale, it's cheaper than it is anywhere else.
That's true.
Yeah. And there was a Shoppers by the one at like Bloor and Ossington, close by. They would have like frozen pizzas on sale, for example, for like $3, like the big ones
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
So the guy who played Quirrell is named Ian Hart, and he played John Lennon in the film The Hours and Times.
I've never heard
I've never
of that.
heard of this either.
It's not like I think it's like a 60-minute movie.
Oh, is
Yeah,
it like
it's
a
60
BBC
minutes.
special kind of thing or something?
I don't know why it was. It was made by a guy named Christopher Munch.
Ooh.
Okay.
And it's about John Lennon. He's on holiday with Brian Epstein in 1963.
All right.
And things get a bit steamy.
Wow. Well, I'm definitely putting that on the
adding-
Beatles ephemera playlist.
Yeah, it's a good movie if you like the Beatles like I do.
Yeah, I like it, the Beatles. Yeah. There's a bunch of like a Backbeat or whatever. That's like one about who's that Beatle who like died?
All of them.
No, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Anyway, the other guy, Laura Palmer's in that one.
Nowhere
There's
Boy.
like Nowhere Boy,
Our
of
favorite.
course. Yeah, of course. Yesterday, of course. Yeah.
Another favorite.
There's one Two of Us, which is an imaginary like reconciling of John and Paul.
Oh.
Yeah. There's a bunch of shit like that. I'll give my regards to Broad Street, which is a Paul McCartney movie we should do sometime for the
Beatles
for the show.
franchise?
Yeah, we could do the Beatles franchise. That
Yeah,
makes perfect
technically you
sense.
could. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Help.
Yeah.
Hard Day's Night.
Yellow Submarine. These are the Beatles movies. Okay, so Juan and Winnell were trying to get the film produced in Australia, but it wasn't working. They were talking to someone, like an agent or something, suggested they go to LA, and they were able to shoot a short film as a proof of concept. Like, not like a short film like to send to festivals or whatever. I don't think,
No.
but-
It's very much like this is a movie that we're going to make into a real movie.
Yeah, and here's proof that we can actually
Yeah.
do it.
One thing just to say about the short film.
Yeah, I also watched it before.
Because when I was going through the whole series, I was like, well, I got to see the short too.
Yeah, of course.
I have one thing to say because it's just the reverse bear trap scene from the movie with 1L playing Shawnee Smith's role, but there's a early version of Billy the Puppet in the in the short where he's wearing a little bowler cap.
Yeah.
Like it's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. He just like rides out on the little tricycle and he's just wearing a little cap.
Yeah, and that's exactly why they probably got rid of it. It's too cute.
It's adorable.
It's not threatening. Like the puppet is scary. It's weird and uncanny.
Yeah,
right?
it matches the aesthetic of the rest of the film pretty well. It's got those spiral blush marks on its cheeks, and it looks crusty.
They
Definitely.
built it. It's not like
Yeah.
like a modded puppet or whatever. It's like the original creation.
Amazing.
That they built. But I the bowler cap it's a little too cute. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I want to hang out with that Billy the Puppet. What's he like?
Is he single? Are you free? the style of that short, it's all there. Like it's the color palette's the same, the music is very similar, the editing is the same. It's a little bit better in the film, like that kind of revolving camera, like when
it looks so good.
Yeah, Amanda's her character's name, right?
Amanda,
when she's like shaking around, and
she'll come back later.
Yes, I have seen Saw 2, so I know she comes back, which is cool. Yeah, because and that's one of the best scenes of the movie too, obviously, where for one reason or another Danny Glover as the detective is like pushing her a little too hard to being like, did you learn anything or whatever, like he helped me. Yeah, that's pretty it's pretty messed up, Yeah,
I wasn't a big fan of those that kind of Jacob's Ladder-esque editing, with the quick moves and the people like moving really quickly and stuff like that. Like I've seen it work before in other movies, but in this one, I didn't find it anxiety inducing or disorienting or anything. I was just kind of like, oh, it's like the music video for Closer by Nine Inch Nails.
Yes, another obvious aesthetic. I mean, if that influences Seven, which influences this, right? Yeah, it's all like Fincher and whoever. Wait, who did the video for Closer? The video for Closer is directed by Mark Romanek. Alex is about to assert that Adrian Lyne directed it. He is wrong. He caught the mistake. He messaged me. I'm adding this in, but you better believe he's going to flog himself on our next torture porn related episode, Saw 2.
It was the person who did Jacob's Ladder.
Oh, really?
Adrian Lyne? Was that her name?
That's his name.
That's his name.
Yeah, trust me, that's a man. Trust me. You see the rest of his work? That is a man.
This whole time.
that is not.
I thought Jacob's Ladder was directed by a woman.
No.
Is my face red?
That is he is a male gaze director.
Okay.
Yeah, very much so.
Well,
making a lot of other like erotic thrillers. I love Jacob's Ladder.
Again,
that's like a diamond in the rough kind of. I mean, I don't know. Like Fatal Attraction is good up until a certain point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I should have known it was a man.
Evolution Entertainment became attached, and they formed a horror genre production label.
Twisted Pictures.
Twisted Pictures. One of the hardest logos.
It's
right?
so awesome.
Yeah. And it is twisted, genuinely.
Yeah.
You
Anytime you see that logo pop up before a movie, like buckle up.
Yeah.
You're gonna see some heinous shit.
It's all of the Saw movies and like 3 other movies that nobody's heard of.
Some junk, yeah. This is like a real indie movie through and through.
Yeah.
I mean, to whatever extent, like quote unquote indie, right? It's like still like $1 million, right?
At a certain point, Maple stepped in, right? Like Maple Pictures, who were like a Canadian.
Is Maple just a distributor though? I'm not sure.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe. I know what you mean though. Yeah.
Lionsgate distributed this.
Right.
Okay.
Because you see the crazy old school Lionsgate logo at the beginning.
Yeah.
Where it's just LGF.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
It's almost Let's Fucking Go.
Yeah.
But it's very
Let's go
close.
fuck.
Let's go fuck. Typical of this film festival, typical Sundance, twee Sundance film, rom-com. This premiered at Sundance is very funny. Classic, like when people think of Sundance, they think of like Little Miss Sunshine and Saw, and so.
The fuck was Robert Redford thinking?
It was also the closing film of the Toronto International Film Festival that year, which is also very funny.
Crazy.
They were going to put it on direct to video, but then the film festival response was good, so they didn't.
And it was the highest grossing, most profitable horror movies of all time after it came out.
Wow.
For a while, beating Scream.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, because it was made for like $1 million, $1.2 million, something like that, and it made $105 million at the box office.
Nice.
And I think all the money went into that one room. I think that one room looks amazing.
Oh, it
it's
looks
got
unbelievable.
A great production design. Mm-hmm. At the end, when Carrie Elwes, he's cut off his leg and he's just like bled out and he's like all white and stuff.
Oh,
like,
it's so good.
It looks incredible. Everything kind of outside of that room looks like a soap opera, like the scenes
a little bit
at his house and at the hospital and stuff like that, or like a police procedural soap opera kind of thing too, with the police scenes. But the production design in that room, I think, is pretty on point. That's one of the things I do like about this movie. I think it's a very uneven movie. I'm kind of on the fence about it, but I do love the design of some of those rooms and those traps.
So I will say that the one set that they built for the movie is that set.
Yeah, you can tell.
Every other set was used from other productions that were already making similar sets. So they were just like, oh, okay, you have an extra day with this set. We'll come in and we'll shoot Danny Glover.
Yeah.
And the bathroom kind of set with Jigsaw on the floor, that was the only set they made for the movie. And it looks unbelievable. Like,
yeah, and like as soon as they flicked those awful like fluorescent lights on, and I saw like the first shot of like of Lee like just looking confused, I was like, oh, like this is so iconic. Right?
Yeah,
it's like it just feels so.
It's weird. He
it
wakes
brought me
up in a
right back,
bathtub.
you know? Yeah, I know.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it's all perfectly timed. Everything is perfectly timed.
he just needed a bath. He was stinky.
Yeah.
But how was he
You've been
breathing?
dirty your whole life.
How is he breathing underwater?
Gills.
Yeah.
Okay.
He has
He's
one of those like breathers
Waterworld
that they have in
people.
Phantom Menace, like, and that's what gets flushed down the drain.
Right, because the key was inside the bathtub the whole time.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love those are my favorite parts of the traps. Is the like cruel little like you just activated the trap. Like
Yeah.
with the bear trap, like when you stand up, that's when the timer goes off. Whereas if you could just relax for a little bit and think about what you have to do first, then you could like time it out a bit better.
Yeah.
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 You've got a giant mechanical headpiece thing on your face that's going to rip your jaw off.
Yeah.
But, just like
Chill out.
take a chill pill.
Yeah, just relax. Like after the puppet comes out and explains the video,
Take stock of your surroundings,
Yeah.
like
how to survive Saw. Yeah. One thing that's way better from the short film to the feature film is Tobin Bell's performance.
Yeah.
Because I don't know whose voice it is. It's probably like James Wan or Lee Winnell or something.
Yeah,
right?
they had someone else cast other than Tobin Bell.
Oh yeah,
The-
it was the big guy in
the guy in the razor wire trap.
yeah, yeah.
He was originally supposed to be Jigsaw.
That's that's my favorite of the like his justifications for torturing people. It's like you wanted to kill yourself. Well, now you get to kill yourself. It's like fuck. That's so fucked up.
He's such a piece
Like,
of shit, man.
Yeah, he's such an asshole.
yeah.
Yeah. So the voice in the Saw like short film, I don't know how to do it, but it just sounds. It's not like there's no gravitas.
Yeah.
It's like what I'm doing. It's like you want to play a game, haha, whatever. When Tobin Bell does it, like I know he obviously it really paid off for him because he ended up becoming like a main character, visible on-screen character for the rest of almost the whole series.
I think
right?
there's only one he's not in, and it's
Right.
Spiral.
Yeah, great. The best one. The one, the one unfortunately I have seen. His presence, like not only is at the reveal at the end, but his voice as Jigsaw, even though obviously it's modulated and stuff, is really powerful. I think it's very creepy and it sounds. With the exception of the few times where he has to portray that he's sick, and he goes, "I want to play a game." Oh, sorry, I have cancer. It's like, very, very impressed by him.
I think that his casting is he's obviously giving the best performance in the entire movie, and his casting is just so perfect. Especially he's someone that before this wasn't really in anything else. Like he has a 1 second cameo in Goodfellas. He plays Robert De Niro's defense attorney. Has no lines.
Right.
And he is on an episode of Seinfeld. He plays a record store clerk.
Yeah. The guy who won't buy. He's like 5 cents for their record.
Yeah, $5 for these records.
Right.
Newman and Kramer start arguing with him. I bet they got put in a saw trap afterwards. And then other than that, like I hadn't really heard of anything else that he was in. And then he gets in this, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna be able to print money for the rest of my career because I'm a Jason Voorhees type figure.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Apparently, he has a lot of these like little tiny. Like he's in Woody Allen's Manhattan. I want to play game.
That'd be so much scarier.
I don't need to be tortured. My whole life is torture. Somebody who deserves to be put in a saw trap. Am I right? No, he's nature will sort itself out soon enough. Yeah. He plays somebody named Mendoza in The Line of Fire.
Mendoza!
That's pretty cool. He's just in all sorts of like weird little things. I don't know. He's in an episode of The Sopranos. Yeah. And then the whole rest of the Wikipedia page is Saw.
Saw, baby.
Later work and return to the Saw franchise. Good for him.
Well, yeah, he is definitely one of the best parts, but he's not in this movie all that much.
No.
But his voice is so present.
Yeah,
yes,
that's true, yeah.
Even though we only see him on screen, I mean, he's in the movie for the entire thing. He's just on the ground.
And it is him on the ground, apparently.
Yeah.
It's not like a dummy, which doesn't make sense. Like,
No,
it should just be a dummy.
Absolutely, but I think that it would have cost more to get a dummy than to just hire Tobin Bell for 6 days.
And just glue him to the floor with fake blood.
I love the goatee he's sporting in this. Like, it doesn't make any sense. He looks like the frontman, an aging frontman now of an industrial metal band from then. But it looks so funny. It's just like, I can't get enough of it.
Yeah, the whole cast, I think, pretty much pulls it off. Like, I remember thinking it was really weird back in like 2004 seeing Carrie Elwes in it because I had only, most people still was majorly associating with The Princess Bride, which is like his big sort of thing, right? Cutthroat Island, unfortunately, was a huge flop at the time, notoriously so, and that is him, right?
I think so.
It's not Carrie Elwes, it's Matthew Modine. I apologize to the Modine family. To Matthew himself, I want to say I'm sorry. I liked you in Full Metal Jacket, and most recently in Oppenheimer. I will be flogging myself in the next episode. Whatever.
Maybe it's Christopher Plummer. Who cares?
Without looking it up, let's just say it's him. I remember thinking, that's really interesting. Like, why is he in this? Right? Danny Glover, always great.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know. I think their dialogue is like really clunky a lot of the time, and just like,
sure, definitely. Yeah.
I don't think they really give good performance. Like, I think it's just always they're tripping over themselves too much. Like,
I think. Like Elwes, I find like his performance at the beginning, I find like a little hard to believe.
Yes, he's a little too calm, right?
And he's just like, I don't know, he's British, right?
Yes.
But he's trying not to be in this movie.
Yes.
And he can't pull that off. I read a thing where the reason that the movie is edited so weird is that Juan just did not have enough usable footage.
Yeah.
So he just like put all this stuff in, and you can tell that a lot of the takes are like pretty early takes, like he's filming rehearsals. But as the movie goes on, as Elwes gets more desperate, I think that the performance gets a lot better.
Yes, definitely, especially when he's cutting his foot off. I really like him when he's all pale and he's like, I have to save my family.
That is my favorite version of the character.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm glad you brought that up. That editing style, which I think was depending on how you feel about it, either like a little too much or kind of like over the top. But I think it's what the series is sort of notable for, that kind of very fast editing. I don't know. It does feel very like music video-y, right?
It's very nu metal. Like,
yes.
Exactly. Yes.
Way to describe it.
And I love nu metal, so that's why I love the look of the movie.
Yeah. But a lot of those, like you said, it's out of necessity. Flashbacks and scenes where they actually, like the directors themselves would stand in for a body part of like, okay, well, this is Danny Glover's arm, and this is going to be Ken Lung is the other detective, right? It's like, okay, well, I'm now playing the body of Ken Lung because we don't have the shot where he goes from here to here, you know. And they even used still photography, where they just like do that Ken Burns effect to make the photo look like it's moving because they just didn't shoot enough. They had like Danny Glover for like 2 days, right?
Yeah.
So it's impressive if you think about it under all these constraints.
Well, they milked gold out of him.
They sure did, yeah.
No, I don't think it's that great.
He's great. Danny Glover is the worst detective, right?
He's so bad.
Yeah, he's goes crazy over this case very quickly.
Immediately, yeah.
Although I thought he was, I really kind of related to him when he's just watching the Jigsaw video.
Yeah.
And his friend is like, oh, come out and drink with us. And he's like,
Yeah,
like,
I have to watch the movies.
I was like, oh my God, that's just like me being comatose watching Saw and not going out.
I can't leave. I've almost figured out the lore. Who else? Oh, and Monica Potter is Carrie Elwes's wife. Yeah, in the soap opera sections of the film.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember seeing her name around a bunch in like the late 90s, early 2000s, but I couldn't tell you what she was in. But it was nice to see her again. I forgot she was in this.
Yeah.
I don't think she ever maybe she comes back. I don't remember.
I don't think she comes back.
Danny Glover never comes back, right?
No, Danny Glover dies.
Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Which, I mean, many characters die in these movies and are just in all of them. So
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I thought that Shawnee Smith as Amanda gave a great performance.
Mm-hmm.
I think the mixture of both her in the trap and her trying to like kind of relate that back to the cops, I thought was really, really strong, and I can tell why they wanted her for all the other movies.
Yeah, and that is such an important. Like we see other traps quickly before that, but that trap, like it just the iconography of that trap, like as seen here in the marketing, right, and everywhere, like that image is that sells the movie really well.
Yeah.
Like obviously the severed hands and feet and whatever, but like seeing that trap, like.
Well, then you're like, oh, this is like it's Rube Goldberg horror,
Which is a great formula. Like the idea of a serial killer who puts you in Rube Goldberg style traps.
It's very funny.
Is like, and that's one of the things I give it credit for. I think
because
the idea
he has cancer
is top notch. Yes, he has cancer, so he puts people in like, that board game where you played Mousetrap. Like he plays Mousetrap with humans.
You've played Mousetrap your whole life. I'm just doing Anton. I can't not do it. Like call it.
It still works, but because this was the first one. And before they kind of like settled into that groove where Saw movies kind of became like carnivals of like, now we're at this set piece and now you literally have to walk through this complex to get to the next set piece or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like it does have like a bit of a weird in relation to the other Saw movies as its own standalone movie. It's okay. It's whatever, but it's got some weird pacing where it's like they kind of run through those other traps really quickly at the beginning in like a police flashback. Yeah. And like you said, they're not really these Rube Goldberg things yet. There's the reverse bear trap.
That's like the only one.
But yeah, then the other one is just like you cut yourself a lot, so now you have to walk through like barbed wire hell or something, and then like the guy who's covered in flammable liquid.
That feels very Saw, right? Or sorry, obviously that feels very Seven. Like just with that, and it's Dina Meyer from Starship Troopers. She's the other detective who's introducing it. Yeah, and
she's in a few of the other ones.
Oh, nice. Glad to see her back.
She's great.
Yeah. Yeah, because the way that she's describing it feels very like we just came across one of the 7 deadly sins things. Like there's stomach acid on the floor, blah, blah, blah. And in that one, she is my favorite line of the movie that I wrote down. When they find the little peephole, right? She says, looks like our friend Jigsaw likes to book himself front row seats to his own sick little games. It's like, that's great. To be able to sell that line, you gotta be a pro. Yeah. You gotta be Dina Meyer level pro. Household name Dina Meyer.
I would just argue that she doesn't really sell it.
I mean, you're right. Yeah. I mean, you know what? You're right. Because I had to because I laughed out loud and rewound it and turned the subtitles on to make sure that's what she said.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. If it was natural, I probably wouldn't have done all that. Something to think about. What other notes do you have in there?
I got a ton of notes.
Yeah, go for it.
I love all the crazy camera work. Like, I find that the camera in this is like very focused on just purely being expressive. Like, there's all of these dynamic, like low angle shots or like super close ups. And then mix that with the editing, it just creates like this really unbelievable montage as it goes through. So that even when it's like not super good, I'm still like on board. I want to see what happens next.
Yeah, I think the cinematographer had it over his shoulder the whole time. Like they didn't use tripods, right, or any.
Yeah.
So it really does have that. and how this is like a real like first film school thing. Where they're like, when we shoot Cary Elwes, the camera's a little bit more stable because he's a little bit more logical. Then when we shoot Leigh Whannell, it's all over the place because he's freaking out,
panicking.
Yeah.
I said that Leigh Whannell is giving the most I wrote the movie performance.
Yeah.
Because it's like so like hitting every line with like this like very weird kind of like intonations in his voice, because he knows the script really well, but he has no idea how to act yet.
Yeah, and he's Australian too, right?
Exactly. So he's putting on this accent.
We're supposed to cut our bloody feet off.
But I will say I thought he had a lot of T-boy swag in this movie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like
the official T-boy swag of the film award goes to
Leigh Whannell. Leigh Whannell's giving very T-boy in this movie. Just like, his outfit, the way that he acts.
The line that I completely agree with that, and the line that he said that rang the most false, like was he's like something like, "Oh, this is the most fun I've had without lubricant."
I wrote that line down.
Yeah. That's like a line that you would cut from the movie, but because you're the writer and the actor, like, you love it, so you got to say it. Yeah.
I will say though that line ties into my conspiracy theory about this movie, is that it's actually a gay movie.
Oh, okay, please.
I think it's about a divorced couple that is just trying to get back together through this kind of like harrowing scenario. I think that the ending of the movie, where they're like holding each other, and
he's got his foot up,
and Cary Elwes is like, "I'll come back for you," and Leigh Whannell's like, "Don't leave me." I'm like, it's beautiful. Like, they're so in love with each other.
They are. They're the only people in each other's worlds.
Exactly.
At that moment. Yeah.
And for the entire movie until Zepp comes in, like, they don't really talk to anyone else.
Yeah.
They don't see anyone else until the end of the movie.
And in fact, they don't need anyone else but each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, I'm sold.
Yeah, so that's why I think the movie's gay. And I'm gonna die on this hill.
Great. No, it doesn't take much to convince me. When it comes to these things, I'm fully bought in now. Yeah.
Yeah. Billy the puppet becomes like a gay icon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like the Babadook. Yeah.
Like the Babadook.
Except I think a little more real. That was based on Netflix algorithm fucking up. This is Billy the Puppet's actually gay.
Yes, there is nothing actually gay about the Babadook in the film The Babadook.
Yeah.
It is in fact very hetero and also upsetting in a not in a good fun gay way.
No.
Whereas Billy the Puppet is definitely a gay icon.
Yeah, he's chill. Like, I would see him at cruise,
Yeah, he's around. He has his own float in the Pride Parade every year. It's the one right in front of Justin Trudeau waving everybody.
Yeah.
I'm here with with my friends, Billy the Puppet.
He's playing Hello Zepp so loud.
Yeah. What else you got?
What else I got?
Yeah.
This is the most fun movie I've had without lubricant. I thought that the scene where we first see that Zepp is holding his family hostage, and he's pointing the gun at each of them and then listening with the stethoscope to see the heart rate. I thought that was really effective. That was
a nice
really
little
scary.
detail.
Yeah, that's creepy.
And I feel like I've seen stuff like that done before, but not in this like super weird medical way, which I thought was like really effective.
Mm-hmm.
The transition where it's the car drives through the frame and it cuts to a different shot. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, through Danny Glover.
Exactly.
That's a real it's like all the transitions in Speed Racer, which
yes.
I know you love a lot.
Yeah. Which is also, I think, why I love the editing in this movie so much. Just so like Y2K maximalist.
Yeah.
Like,
and speaking of Wachowski's, Leigh Whannell, I didn't realize is in Matrix Reloaded.
He is?
Yes, he is the he's like one of the pilots in the Matrix. Like he's like the guy who gets all fucked up at the end.
Yeah.
In the second one, in Reloaded.
Okay,
I had no idea.
I gotta rewatch now.
Yeah.
Because I do actually have a huge crush on him.
Well, There you go. And I mean, you like those
And I love The
movies.
Matrix.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I saw that. Because I was just like, well, what else did he ever act in? He acted in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he's also in James Wan's Death Sentence, which he didn't write, but does act in. And that one's actually really good. It's also like lo-fi, gritty, kind of thriller vibe.
Violent, I imagine.
Yeah, super violent.
Yeah.
It's not as... I don't think it's as good as this is, but it's also kind of got like that... he's like playing a game to like get revenge kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
John Goodman's in it.
Ooh.
But yeah, that one's quite good. When they go to see Jigsaw at his like workshop, and then he cuts Danny Glover's throat with the Assassin's Creed knife.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's got like the hidden blade, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, that felt kind of Malignant style. Like,
Yeah.
That's proper anime sort of. Like he's got all these special weapons and cloaks and things. Yeah.
I also thought that Jigsaw's diorama of the saw trap that's going on, I thought it reminded me of Allison's diorama from The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah, the Telltale Heart
The
thing?
Telltale
Yeah.
Heart diorama. And I don't think Skinner would have liked it very much either.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Han, Chewie,
Yeah.
they're all here.
They're all here. That's funny. I'm glad we got one Simpsons in there. It's funny how impressed he is, like how happy he is. Also, why did Ralph have those? I guess like his dad,
His
maybe.
dad.
Yeah.
Must, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
What do you think? I think it's time for lunch. We have a winner!
Yeah.
What else I got here? I thought the shotgun to the head effect was really good for
Yeah,
being
like,
so like
Lo-fi.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
There's
you don't
very-
actually see, you just see the top of the body, which is probably not Ken.
Definitely
right?
not.
And then a big like sploosh of blood or
and
whatever.
I think the blood is like so disgusting. Like I don't know, it looks so viscous in
Yeah.
this movie.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I don't know, I find with a lot of, especially horror movies, the way that I tend to interact with them and like them is through like a bodily experience type of way. Where,
right.
I can really write off like, oh, the characters are bad, or oh, the plot doesn't make any sense. If the movie makes me, while I'm watching it, go like, oh my God.
Yeah. Like a visceral reaction.
Like where it's like I can feel it in my chest, like how disgusted I am with it. Which is why I really like these movies, why I really like the Hostel movies, and like Rob Zombie's Halloweens really do that as well.
Some of the editing in this movie did remind me of Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses, in the sense that he used like weird filters and maybe had some kooky things going on. But I just thought, I don't know, I like that movie more, and maybe I just thought they were used to better effect at that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would agree.
Well, Rob Zombie, I think, is a much better director than James Wan is. But
Maybe not anymore.
It's hard to say.
The Monsters is one of my favorite movies of the last
I
year.
still haven't
The
watched
Monsters
it.
is really good.
I haven't watched it.
It's like adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's him using the Monsters in order to tell this tale of him meeting Sherry Moon Zombie. It's beautiful.
Oh,
He
that's
loves
cute.
his wife.
He does.
He's right out. He's like one of the number one Hollywood wife guys.
I love my wife guys.
Yeah,
Him and Chance the Rapper. Neck and neck.
Him, W.S. Anderson loves his wife quite a
Yes,
bit.
yes. Look how hot my wife is killing zombies.
Yeah. Also great movies.
Yeah.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
Got Maya Rudolph
Maya
in quite a
Rudolph.
few of his movies.
Yeah.
And then-
He hasn't made Maya Rudolph the motion picture yet, though.
No, that's coming next.
Yeah, maybe.
I feel like I touched on some of the things I admire about this movie, like the premise and some of the production design and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just think the overall kind of like melodramaticness of it, it's like, and the soap opera-ness of it, like it does, it's like is quite a soap opera of a horror film, and I think it. And like with most soap operas, the more it goes along, the more kind of like ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
And when you tune in, it's like, oh, he's with who now? Like this is kind of a crazy analogy, but I'm going to throw it up there.
Yeah, please.
And not to get like too ahead of ourselves, but the Saw franchise to me really reminds me of R. Kelly's Trapped in the Closet series.
That is crazy. You're right. That's crazy. But go on. Go on.
Because it starts kind of like with a straightforward, like, infidelity story or something. We start with this simple-ish serial killer thing, and then it sprawls out into just this like ridiculous mess where twist after twist just keeps getting thrown on, and you're like, huh? And with something like that, you do have to kind of suspend your disbelief a heck of a whole lot. But for the Saw movies, like, to give you an example of like why I just can't really do it in the Saw movies, is like yesterday after you watched it, Ben, you sent a message to us where you were like, that ending, it goes so hard. And I was just like, and I'm assuming you're talking about, you know, like him getting up or whatever and being like, game over.
The
and
last
like,
montage, it's very funny. Yeah.
And that moment, I think, formally reminds me a lot of that moment in Silence of the Lambs when Hannibal Lecter escapes and he kind of rises up from the ambulance and pulls the guy's face off.
It's actually very similar. You're right.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, Hannibal was wearing the guy's face to look like a victim of like an attack so he could get out, and he's in the hospital and he's out, and like, sure, there's plot holes in that. But then, like, you know, at this movie, there's that initial thrill of like, oh, that's kind of badass. He's standing up. It was the guy who was in the middle of the room the whole time. But then, like, 2 seconds later, I'm like, why was he lying in the middle of the room for 6 hours in a puddle of like supposedly poisonous blood? And then when he comes up, he pulls off like a prosthetic. Like, like, why was he wearing a mask? He was like face down in a puddle of blood. You know, it undermines these what could have been these fun badass twists, but just the holes through them are too big for me to be like, oh, you know, like
Alex did the.
I
what do you call that?
I can't make
like when you slap your fingers against each other.
But I can't actually
do it
it
either. I have these small, like, kind of Trumpian hands.
We're pathetic.
Yeah, beta. Well, okay, I understand what you mean. And let me just say that the reason why I think that's funny, and why, like, the twist in Malignant is funny for me, despite being like completely out of left field and doesn't really make any sense, is the idea of trying to, like, you know, project your own sense of logic onto an illogical film, right? It's like Saw, okay, it's goofy, it doesn't make sense, it's in a heightened reality soap opera 7 slash thing, right? So try when he gets up and he pulls the mask off, the thing that the first thing that popped up in my mind is like, okay, seemingly the only reason he did this and revealed himself that way and did the whole like game over and shut the door, the only reason he did it was to like elicit that specific type of scream out of Leigh Whannell. And then when it ends with Leigh Whannell just going, you know, and then it cuts to the credits and he's still screaming, right?
Yeah.
It's like ringing in your ears. Like, that to me I was like, that's perfect. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, it's like, this guy is such a psycho, and so meticulous in his planning of his like elaborate and unnecessarily elaborate game, that the payoff for him is just to like create the most uncanny, unpleasant experience possible for this one guy who really isn't that bad of a guy, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just like a private eye photographer who takes pictures of
Jigsaw hired.
Yeah. He's such a...
It was Tapp. It was Tapp hired him.
Right.
Donald Glover.
Danny Glover.
Donald Glover.
Donald Glover is Childish Gambino.
Absolutely.
Yes, he is.
Right.
Okay, well, very quickly here, I'm going to just list the traps in the movie. And I'm just going to ask which one each of you think you would have the best chance at getting out of alive.
Let's
okay?
do it.
Okay, very quickly. We have the classic Saw room, the two guys in the room. The crime, the transgression they're being punished for, Leigh Whannell being a private eye photographer / voyeur, and Cary Elwes being an adulterous doctor who is a bad family man. I guess that's pretty much his crime.
I think Jigsaw's also mad at him for telling him he has cancer.
Oh yeah, that's right, and for being for not having a proper bedside manner as a doctor. Yeah. Which is very important. Okay, the razor wire maze. The crime, being suicidal. The poison in the body, combination to the safe, flammable liquid, right? That guy. The crime, malingering. Pretending you have an illness and you don't. Yeah. That's his crime. That's the like weirdest one. Okay, reverse bear trap, Amanda, right? The crime being a drug addict, right?
Classic.
A crime we could relate to.
Here's a question for you. What did the guy who's in the reverse bear trap and she has to eviscerate him to find a key to what did that guy do?
Well, see, the other thing about that guy, he doesn't have any motivation for being there, and he has no way out.
No.
Yeah, it's not fair.
They're like, Jigsaw doesn't kill people. And it's like, well, that guy had no choice.
Yeah.
Same with the guy that when they go into his lair and he's just strapped into the machine with the drill's going to go through his head. We don't really know what his problem was.
No.
He talked during movies.
And he has no way out. Like, the only way out is for the cops to get him out.
Yeah. He does survive, though, I think.
He survives and...
does he come back? No.
No, he doesn't come back.
That would be funny. Okay, and
he'll
then,
be in the new one.
Of course. And last but not least, something I just called Zepp's Odyssey.
Yes.
Because he is a victim of Jigsaw. He did basically an elaborate kidnapping and murder and whatever.
Crazy.
Of course, for the crime of being a hospital orderly.
That moment where he finds a tape recorder on Zepp's body is very funny because you're like, oh my God, this guy is like part of it. Yeah.
Oh, but then the score swells and I'm just like, oh my God. Dun, dun, dun,
Let's
dun,
go.
Dun, dun.
Here comes the big reveal.
And then montage, the images
Yeah.
flashing like End of Evangelion.
Exactly. It's an anime.
Poor Zepp.
Okay, so which of those do you think you'd have the best chance at surviving? Very quickly.
I think I could be Carrie Elwes's character.
Yeah?
And get out. Like,
would you do it by sawing off your foot or killing Adam?
Would you just kill the other
Well,
person?
okay, because so the reason that he needs to cut his foot off is to get the gun from Jigsaw's body. But we saw that Adam was able to get something from Jigsaw's body just using stuff that he has.
Yeah, sure.
And I feel like I could do that as Carrie Elwes. Get the gun. I already have the bullet.
Okay.
Like, if we're just taught, like, I don't want to kill Adam because I have a crush on him. He's got T-Boy swag, you know?
Yeah.
But I could probably do it if push came to shove.
You get the note that's like, you have to kill Adam, and you're like, oh.
Come on.
This isn't going anywhere, is
One
it?
of my notes was just, I hate when boyfriends die.
I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but as I said earlier, I do think using my naturally calm and cool and collected, level-headed kind of vibe that I always carry with me, I would be able to do the reverse bear trap very quickly, very easily. I would have the video play, have the rules explained to me. I would sit. I would think about it. I would kind of be like, okay, where's this? Here's the lock. Here's the thing, kind of feel it out, Then I would get up. I would go over, slit the thing, I'd go through the guts, find the key. Yeah, like 5 minutes. I mean, however long it takes. I don't know.
I think she's got it on for like an hour or so, right?
Yeah,
like,
come on. I could
do
that.
You could do it easy.
Yeah, I could do it
Speed
in
run.
15 minutes.
My impulse is to say reverse bear trap just because that's the one in the movie we see someone kind of survive.
Some of them aren't possible, right? And I'm sure as the series goes on,
they become more impossible.
Yeah, there's like, I don't think the razor wire thing is possible, is it?
I feel like if you were more careful with it, he's like,
yeah,
you know,
he's freaking out.
I feel like if you were a little more careful with it, he has like 2 hours to get out of there.
Yeah, I guess that's a long time. Right?
I think you could probably figure that out. I think that the finding the combination where it's just a bunch of fucking numbers on the wall and you got to use
that's crazy.
Like, I don't think that's possible for anyone.
No, you're right. That's just
And he was so slippery and lubricated.
He was wet.
Yeah.
I was like, what's his crime again? I just said it. It's like, oh yeah, he faked being sick, which could be really bad.
Absolutely.
But also,
and I bet Jigsaw definitely hates that specifically.
Right, of course. See, now okay, I don't know how I would react if I got the news that I was terminally ill, but I imagine likely what I would do is I would accept it and die and not go on a rampage. We'll see. I mean, it comes for us all, so we'll see. We literally will see.
And it's funny knowing like some of the stuff that's coming up because, sure, I guess you could say this is the start of Jigsaw's career, so these traps are pretty rudimentary, nothing special. But he ramps up his game so quickly, and with the way, Catherine, I'm sure you know the way the timeline works. he's already been cooking up some of this like ridiculous stuff that we see later on in other movies.
Oh, I just, I'm not going to spoil anything because I know neither of you have seen Jigsaw yet, which is easily the worst one. But the way that they fuck with the timeline in that one will blow your minds.
Oh, okay.
I'm so
I can't
excited.
wait.
Yeah.
Should we rate this puppy?
Yeah, let's rate it, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this open, and we're all going to have a little drink. Okay? We don't actually have to drink it, but they can't tell on the podcast unless I just said it, which I just did. So we're going to pretend to drink
Bleep
it.
this whole part out.
Yeah.
It's like a 15-second bleep.
No, I mean I'm too lazy.
I'm going to do like the Adam dying thing.
So let's do a Roger Ebert
Roger
type
and
thing.
Ebert,
Yeah,
yeah.
Roger and Ebert.
Yeah.
Let's do a them type thing but instead of 2 thumbs up or down, it's severed feet.
Yeah.
It's big toes from a severed foot.
Yeah, two big toes.
From
Okay.
a severed foot.
All right. Let's start with our guest. Kat.
I'd probably give it a no halves, right? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you could do half.
I can cut off part of the toe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd do like a toe and a half up for this movie. I like this movie quite a bit. I think it's a pretty effective little lo-fi one-room thriller. I think there's a lot of stupid stuff in it, obviously, but I think that the editing and like the way that it's shot and just like especially the ending, like I really, really love that ending, and it puts everything into perspective for me, as well as like, I think it's just like really fun to watch them figure out, I gotta look in the back of the toilet. Oh, I gotta, it's a one-way mirror. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
So there's definitely like, I do agree with the parts outside of the Saw room definitely feel like a soap opera. And parts of those I think are really fun. Like, I think it's really funny when Danny Glover is looking through the window to try to see if Cary Elwes is cheating on his wife. And I think parts of it, like some of the hospital stuff, I think is quite boring. But I think overall this is like a really good start to this series. And I think, 1.5 toes.
A quick question before I'll rate. Is this the best film of the series, do you think? No.
6 is the best one.
6 is the best one.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to.
That's the one. No, not to like make any promises because we're not sure about it, but that's the one. We have a connection to someone who was in it.
Ooh.
Yes.
So we're gonna like no promises. It's probably a long shot, depending on where they are in the world right now.
It's Tobin Bell.
Yeah.
No, it
Tobin
is
Bell
not.
is actually my grandpa. Okay, I will also give it 1 toe and 1/2 toe, because and a part of that is just like part of it is a nostalgia thing, an iconic, giving it the iconic bump, because I do think it's very effective. I think this time around, the thing that I appreciated the most about it is seeing the seams of the film and being like, okay, like this really feels like a labor of love, like a small indie horror, and that's a genre that I really, and I know indie like in big quotes, right? But that's a genre that I really appreciate, and I think sometimes. When you see a movie, like as someone, I wouldn't say a filmmaker, but someone who's interested in film, and Katherine, you study film, right?
Yeah.
I would say sometimes that type of film, that genre of film, like a small budget horror, something I can appreciate about it is like, okay, I could see myself or my friends making something like that.
You can understand all of the things that went into it.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, okay, I could theoretically do this.
Yeah. I'm not saying I could make Saw.
No.
I'm not,
Well, it's already been made.
It's already been made, so I wouldn't make it. But I am saying, I can understand the production a little bit better, and there's something that I find like I find a bit of like a kinship with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I get that for sure. And I also like that kind of scrappiness, like James and Lee, they made it. They're, Lee acted it, James directed it. They made
a couple of bogans from Australia.
Yeah. I appreciate the scrappy spirit. I like the idea kind of behind it. I like movies that are kind of theatrical in the sense that they're like one set for the most part, like things, and how can we make it. Where can we take it from there? But I'm only giving this movie one dismembered toe up.
Okay, that's better than I thought. I mean, you don't have to rate it higher just because we liked it.
No,
it's okay if you want to give the toes down.
No, I looked even like what I gave it on Letterboxd ages ago was 2.5 out of 5. There are things I admire about it and think have merit, but then there are also things that I just don't like. But I do appreciate the groundwork and what became of it. Knowing a bit more of the context of where Saw goes. I'm glad it's around, and I like it as a franchise. It's great that we have this kind of huge Halloween horror franchise. There was a period of time where a Saw movie was coming out every Halloween.
Yeah.
And I like that, that you could count on it and it'll be out and it'll probably be loud and ridiculous and silly and stupid. And I'm laughing because Ben is smelling the liquid.
Sorry. I apologize. I just got excited and I wanted to cut open the Saw. I wanted to ruin this DVD I got at the B&B Cafe next door.
What does it smell like?
3 for $10. Okay, I'm gonna just empty some of the fluid into this Tim Hortons cup here.
Oh my God!
And I'm just gonna have a little sniff. It smells neutral. It smells like nothing.
Smells neutral.
I'm gonna touch it now. It's
viscous.
It is thicker than water.
Thicker than water.
And now I'm gonna smell my fingers that I just dipped in it. It smells like plastic.
That makes sense to me. It was
seeing as
encased
how
in
it's
plastic.
Now I
Do you think it was water once?
It could have been.
It could have been, yeah.
You're gonna have like a Crimes of the Future type scenario if you drink this, though.
I think if I drink it, I will have to then permanently use the digestion bone chair from Crimes of the Future, which is something I would think about actually every day whenever I have heartburn. I'm like,
it would be so much easier.
What if I just ate in the bone chair? Okay, I'm now going to retrieve the saw. Oh my God. Oh, I hope this doesn't like kill me or whatever.
What's it feel like inside the...
It feels really gross. Okay, I've retrieved the saw. There's not much to report here. It's just a plastic laminated saw. Well, this was a waste of time, but I'm happy I did it nonetheless. Maybe I should have taken a picture. Oh yeah, hey, we're gonna make some social media accounts coming up soon. Maybe I should have made it in time to bring it up here, but I didn't. So, but we are going to be making a Twitter and Instagram, I think, as well.
Yeah.
I think sounds good. And one other thing I want to say is that the liquid is now turning pink or purple. It's dyed the inside of the coffee cup purple, and it's now dyeing my fingers purple, kind of like a Barney or Joker purple.
Stop touching it.
I'm going to stop touching it. It just smells like plastic. I don't really know what to say. It tingles a little bit on my fingers, and I think I am going into a state of shock.
Maybe you'll get superpowers.
You can't hear it, but I'm trying to simulate shock by staying very still.
Oh my God, we gotta call an ambulance.
I'm very still.
He's in shock.
I'm trying to stay extremely still right now.
Oh no. Does anybody have a blanket? We need to get one of those metal blanket things that they have in the movies when someone's in shock.
Okay, well, as the music is rising and we end the episode, I'm going to start convulsing.
This is actually part of a trap, and now I'm going to get up and close the door.
Pod over.
Catherine, I just wanted to add a little postscript to this episode because I forgot to mention this on the podcast, but I don't know if you guys have heard, but Ben got cropped out of a photo with Drew Barrymore, and I think that's really despicable. It's kind of like when Stalin cropped that guy out of that photo. I think we've all seen that, but that was what it really reminded me of. Anyway, I just wanted to add that because I forgot to mention it. You can follow me on Twitter at Tragic Mushrooms with a Z at the end. You can follow me on Instagram at Tragic Mushrooms with an S. Same with on Letterboxd. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a review for the Franchisees podcast on wherever your fine podcasts are sold. Anyway, thank you.